Chip Proctor, yes, that Chip Proctor, the same bonehead who was the lead investigator slash self-proclaimed customer service representative of the Karen Reed investigation, faced a state police trial board earlier today, and to no surprise, they have yet to come to a disciplinary decision on said matter. Now, he has been suspended pretty much since he testified in the first trial, which happened nearly a year ago, and as we're gearing up for round two, I'm curious to see how this plays out as we are to resume said proceedings in February 10th to be exact, so let's get into it. Hello, and welcome to Alexasrewm, where we are not lawyers, we are not medical professionals, and we are not law enforcement, we are just people who have opinions about all things going on in the true crime community, including our boy, the one and only bonehead, conehead, Mr. Chip Michael Proctor, went before the state police trial board earlier today, and they have yet, of course, to come to a decision. Geoffrey Noble has yet to, as we await with bated breath, has yet to give his sentencing. Now, it's funny because if things are to follow as they have, I mean, we've already heard he's pretty much last on the chopping block, right? If you've been following this case, as long as we have on this channel. So far, we have his Lieutenant Tully, only received essentially a little extra filling of that cup of grab-ass, right? He got the 6 days of leave removed or something like that. Sergeant Bukwacki got 5 paid vacation days taken away from him. So if things are going to follow suit in a similar fashion, I'm not really hopeful here to see too much happen in regards to disciplinary action, but I mean, it seems like things are getting a little bit serious as they are meeting yet again on February 10th. So, according to the Boston Globe, State Police Trooper Pooper Michael Chip Proctor, who has been suspended without pay since July over his crude and misogynistic text that emerged during the Karen Reed trial, appeared at a hearing earlier today before an agency disciplinary panel, according to authorities. Now, as I reported earlier on my community tab, if you are not subscribed, make sure you are, because I post pretty much live updates there as they start to come in. Media was not allowed in this hearing. This hearing was not televised, so we were unable to stream it. We were unable to hear what exactly went down. I'm assuming this is pretty standard. I mean, they didn't do that for Lieutenant Tully. They also didn't do that for Sergeant Bukwacki. So why would things be particularly different for Chip Proctor? I'm not really that surprised. So as information started to come out, it seems like things are they're ruminating in this trial board, right? Trying to figure out what the best course in action is, and they will resume these proceedings on Monday, February 10th. The state police spokesperson said the state police trial board will make disciplinary recommendations to Colonel Geoffrey D. Noble, the head of the state police. Officials have said so. He's the new boss, and so far Geoffrey really hasn't done anything particularly different from what has been done before. So again, we await with bated breath, but don't get too hopeful, folks, because we're in Massachusetts, baby. This is the MSP. Yeah, you know me, and well, at this point, I just don't have high hopes, and it's sad because I want to have high hopes. I want to believe in the justice system. I want to believe that there are good people out there fighting the good fight who are willing to do the right thing. It goes beyond the text messages. It goes much deeper, in my opinion, in terms of handling of evidence, the chain of custody. I mean, that was the biggest issue that I had, aside from the fact that he was not only degrading Karen Reed and talking about her in just a completely disgusting, misogynistic, and clearly unprofessional way, and sharing certain things with folks who are not in the police force. It goes way deeper than that, in my opinion, but it seems like the main focus for this whole disciplinary, him appearing before this trial board is more based around the text messages and what was said and what was shared, and who he was sharing what kind of information with who. So according to a state police policy document, a trooper suspected of wrongdoing shall have the right to present evidence, to call witnesses on his or her behalf. I'm assuming Tully made a guest star appearance, Sergeant Bukwacki, and to cross-examine witnesses against him/her. Witnesses shall testify under oath or affirmation. Maybe even Courtney Proctor. I mean, he had a couple of text messages with her as well, too. So who exactly knows who testified? There's not a whole lot of information so far, but I'm sure more will come out as the weeks and months progress, right? A trial board is not bound to follow strict rules of evidence, which is a little concerning. I mean, that feels a little concerning in my opinion. So you're essentially saying, well, hey, we'll hear you out, we'll look at the evidence, but at the end of the day, like, we're just gonna decide whatever we feel like, right? So again, we await with bated breath to see what exactly happens to Chip and friends. But yes, so just to recap quickly, Proctor, he came under intense scrutiny during the second-degree M trial of Karen Reed, which ended in July in a hung jury. During the first trial, he was forced to read just the utmost cringeworthy text messages I've ever heard. And I'm sure if you were the court reporter, Madam Court Reporter, repeating some of the stuff, it was just absolutely vile. I have videos on it. I will link them below. If you are new to this case, you can check them out. There's plenty of hours of testimony that you can go through. It's not worth revisiting. No one's been charged with any federal crimes. And as we know, Josh Levy is almost 2 feet out the door. He's only got a couple of days left in office before his seat gets taken by somebody new. So we shall see what exactly happens. If anybody does get hit with any federal charges, we shall see. The U.S. Attorney's Office in Massachusetts hasn't made any comments publicly on this particular probe. I don't expect Josh Levy to. I mean, he hasn't so far. He's been pretty tight-lipped on it. I mean, he's been, dropping the hammer on a lot of different other cases. I'm sure he's got a very full plate at this time, but like I said, he's only got a couple days left in office. Proctor is also factoring into another high-profile unaliving case, which is the Brian Walsh case, the Cohasset man who has been charged with unaliving and dismembering his wife, Anna Walsh, on New Year's Day in 2023. That is a very fascinating case. We will definitely, once we get a little bit closer to trial, we'll probably cover that deeper. If you want me to, we definitely will, just because there's a lot of connections here and there with a lot of the same players, right? A lot of the same agencies were at play in that case as well, too. A lot of overlap. In that case, prosecutors have said that they won't call Proctor as a witness in the trial, and in a filing last week said they are in the process of reviewing Trooper Pooper Proctor's work phone and iCloud data for discoverable information as it pertains to this case. So essentially they're saying, well, hey, if he can't shut his yap about Karen Reed, God only knows what he's said about Brian Walsh, or even Anna Walsh too, right? The victim in this. I mean, it's just absolutely disgusting. And like I said, making lewd comments is one thing, but for me, the biggest concern is the chain of custody, how that was handled, how the investigation, how the interviews of each of the witnesses. I mean, it's just so clear as day, and I cannot believe we are still talking about it, but we are because we're here. We're gonna do round 2 in a couple of months, right? April Fool's Day. Mother duckers, and it's just absolutely insane to me that some people think this is just normal, like this is status quo, this happens all the time, right? Yeah, you have state police, you have lead investigators talking smack to their friends in a group chat about a suspect in an unaliving case involving a police officer, right? I mean, it's just absolutely bananas, and not separating witnesses, the collection of evidence. I mean, again, the list goes on and on and on. If you've been following this case, you know what I'm talking about, but and have hired an experienced attorney to perform an independent review. So I'm curious to see how that plays out. Again, there's not tons of information here, but I wanted to create a video for you today because this is important news. We'll be resuming on these matters February 10th, so stay tuned when we have some updates in regards to that. But like I said, in true Massachusetts State Police fashion, I mean, it just seems like they want to push things off as far out as possible. Whether or not he's going to be called as a witness in this upcoming case, whether the Commonwealth bites the bullet, calls him on the stand, or the defense calls him as a witness as well. I mean, we've seen that happen, right? We saw that happen in the Ashley Benefield case where the lead investigator was not called by the state and was called by the defense as a defense witness. So it does happen. I think the Commonwealth will likely call him. They've done, I guess, as best as they can to kind of cover their tracks and kind of normalize the unnormal behavior and series of events that have unfolded in this investigation, and just presented it in a pretty bow, like, hey, this is normal, guys, this is typical procedure, this typical chain of custody. Yeah, there was a lot of snow and we had to navigate through this, that, and the third, but I mean, again, according to Andrea Campbell, there's always room for more excellence, because clearly the MSP is the top of the top. They are the cream of the crop in the U.S. when it comes to state police agencies. So, like I said, don't hold your breath. I'm not really expecting too much to come out of this. Maybe he'll lose a full week's worth of paid vacation. He'll be back on the beat. But with that being said, if you want to stay up to date with the latest updates in regards to the Camry case, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you hit that notification bell so you do not miss that next update from me. And make sure you hit that like button, because this is newsworthy news, folks. It is what's going on in the state of Massachusetts. It's stinky. It is super, super stinky. And don't mistake, if it's going on there, it's probably going on in your backyard as well, too. So be aware. Stay proactive and take part in what's going on in your local government, because the more active you become in your community, the more you start to make a difference. And if you guys have any case suggestions or things that you want me to talk about in future videos, make sure you comment below or email me at alexasroommate with 1m@gmail.com. You can just click the description box below. Send me an email. I love to hear from you guys. And if you are a member, your case suggestions get pushed to the top. So if you aren't one, make sure you become one. There's a lot of cool stuff that I'm going to be working on in the coming weeks and months ahead. And I am so excited to share that all with you. So I will see you all in the next one. Bye.